Good day, ladies and gents. I'm Emilio Colon Sr., and this is the EC Show coming to you from sunny South Florida. I have with me once again Jerry Scalzo of ScalzoBuilt. Jerry, thank you for joining me. This show is sponsored by KD Power Greens, our urban farm microgreens company that myself and my kids own. Make sure you visit kdpowergreens.com for all of your microgreens. As well, if you play pickleball, make sure you visit nostringsattachedpb.com for all your pickleball merch. And as always, as you can see, and on the screen as well, EnasiaColon.com for all your EC Respect merch. ENASIACOLON.com. And we have a new one today, because we didn't plug it last time, so I have to plug it this time. Jerry owns Sun
Tower
Hotel Suites, right?
Yeah.
In Fort Lauderdale, and it's the only boutique Fort Lauderdale hotel on the sand.
Yes.
And I've eaten there, and it's really good. It's delicious.
That's Sandbar Grill at the hotel.
Yeah, that's delicious, dude. It's really, really good. Guys, make sure you go check it out. Jerry, thank you for joining me once again. Our episode is performing really well. Mind you, it was only a pilot episode. We didn't really even touch anything when we were talking on that thing.
It's the talent.
We would just have, that's what it is? It's age and beauty. That's what it is, age and beauty.
There you
but
go.
no, we were just going with the feel. Father to father talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reference on the book. I will go get it. You should have brung it for me, but I will go get it.
No problem. I'll actually order you one.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's very nice of you. I see you repping a certain, we'll get to that in a little bit. That's like a little hint of the Army member that you're part of.
Yes, sir.
So on today's episode, I know we wanted to touch a little bit of stuff that we didn't get a chance to touch on the last episode, which was a little bit of business, a little bit of real estate, and then we'll dabble into crypto at the end of the segment or at the end of the show. From a real estate standpoint, first off, congratulations on closing the Popeyes. You're completely finished, correct?
Completely done.
And how was that?
It was arduous.
Yes.
City of Hialeah was not fun to work with.
At all?
At all.
I mean,
No,
can you explain like some of the issues or some of the problems that you ran through that process?
When we build, each city has their own issues, you know, but Hialeah is a lot of layers, and it's far. It's not like it's a block away.
Yeah.
It's a good hour drive. But, you know, just traffic, everything, it takes longer. You know, you got to leave there by 3 o'clock if you want to get home by 5:36. But it's just, we weren't working with an engineer group that were very helpful. It's almost like they were working for the city. Right. Every time we had an issue or a change order or some correction, it was impossible to get it done. Right. So it's just, again, we're done. It was a long process, but my clients are happy. But
who were some of the nicest cities that you like to work with?
You know, Pompano, actually people say Pompano, but I believe it's the city manager came in about 4 years ago, and they did everything over. I mean, you've been down there, you know, with the boardwalk, with all the restaurants down there.
They're trying to do their best to change it up.
No, they did a great job. That's one of our properties is down there. Our Airbnbs are right there, about 2 blocks from the strip. And I'll tell you something, that is a destination. Everybody's going to Pompano. It's great.
So Pompano's easy to work with.
Yeah, Pompano, Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, Parkland. They all work great.
Now, ScalzoBuilt is involved in commercial and residential. Both, right?
Yes.
So did you start with one and then lean into the other, or?
Well, you know, 2005 is when I got my license, and I started building one custom home. I was doing a spec home. Okay. And from that, I got the Verizon account, and I built 30 Verizons in 3 years, and that's how I launched commercially. Right. And then from Verizon, we went to Boca Tanning salons. We did 30 of those, and then right into Popeyes. So it's been 3 major franchises over the last 14, 15 years.
And the competitive part in that is the bidding process. Is that correct?
You know, that's one crazy thing I haven't had to deal with over the years. When you have a good client that trusts you, they throw you a set of keys. Here's an address.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, they trust you. They're not looking. Listen, they're not looking for a cheap price. They're looking for someone that's going to get the job done, give them good value, and that's really what it's like. If you can give somebody value, they don't mind paying, because there's a thing in building like a triangle. Okay. T, Q, and then C, money. So you have your time, your quality, and money. Okay. And you can only pick 2. Right. There's no way to get 3. Okay. I tell a client, you can have it cheap, but it's crappy. Okay, you can have it good quality, but it's going to take longer, right? And more money, right? So there's always 2 variables in that triangle. So I try to stay in the middle, but it's really hard. So with our business, we do preface that we can get things done quickly,
but efficiently.
And give good quality. But again, it's not going to be cheap. We're not the cheapest.
And you ever had a disaster project? You're like, oh my God, this is a headache.
They can all be a headache. Honestly, every job you build can be a headache. Right. It really determines the guys that are working for you, your subs. Your subs can make your life miserable. Absolutely.
But your subs can make your life really, really good.
And honestly, 15 years, I've had all the same subs. My same plumber for 16
bless.
years. Same electrician for 10 years. AC guy was for 9 years. My drywall company has been for forever.
Right.
And my shell contractor, which is kind of in-house, 14 years.
That's beautiful.
And my office manager's 17.
That's beautiful. That's
So
beautiful.
when you have that longevity, it's like plug and play.
Of course.
Yeah, and you can only get better and better. You could scale at that.
Right.
But when you're constantly switching in and out, and I tell my subs, when we hire them, I go, don't make me bid you out.
Right.
You know what happens.
Yeah,
If
of course.
they get comfortable it's like the frog in warm water.
No,
what
of
happens?
course.
Turn it up and eventually they die.
Yeah, of course.
I tell them, listen, if I start to see a price, I'm just going to bid you out. No, we'll keep it fair.
Yeah, because-
and I always say, treat me fair and I'll always take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they can rely that stuff is going
Yeah.
to end up coming in the work. They don't have to wait or this and the third. I know last time, and it's crazy because this happens on every show that we do. We end up talking about stuff on the show. We get off the show, we start shooting shit, and we talk more off air than we do
Yeah.
on air. So
Yeah.
I know last time you wanted to touch on the current state of real estate and what you think is going to happen, right? Like right now and in the future.
I get lots of families that talk to me and say, hey, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till prices come down. I tell people, stop. Just buy. I don't care about rates. Date the rate, I tell them. You can always refinance. At this juncture right now, houses are going to go, they're stagnant right now. It's a buyer's market right now.
Right.
So you can get a price you want. And why it's a buyer's market, some people are scared to pay the rate.
Of course.
But here's what's going to happen. We're in election year. They're going to bring the rates down. You watch. By May, June, July, rates are coming down.
Slowly.
Yeah, and they said 275 basis points. So what happens when that happens? The houses are going to go through the roof. So you can either get in now and pay a little higher rate and refi later, or wait and guess what? You're going to spend the money later.
Right.
So I tell people, it's a buyer's market. This is where you can actually make a deal. Otherwise, you're going to be later on. There's not going to be a house available.
But how hot was the market when it was just like ridiculous? Like it was
Yeah, 220 offers on a house.
cash.
Yeah,
As is.
but here's the problem.
Sometimes not even going through an inspection. We just buy it as whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but honestly, the problem we had was, it's a new asset class, like BlackRock, Vanguard. They're all buying up houses and they're putting them in ETFs. They're putting them in mutual funds. And the problem is they don't care what they pay.
No.
So you think you're bidding against somebody else? No, you're not.
Right.
You got a corporation saying, we don't care if it sits for a year not rented. They want the asset in their books.
They don't give it. They don't give.
They
a
don't
damn.
care.
Yeah. It's just like some people have sat there and said that ever since the pandemic had started that the average buyer in Florida wasn't buying against a buyer in Florida. You're buying against New York. You're buying against California. And now you're buying against corporations that are just sucking it up and putting it in their portfolio so their portfolios can perform extremely well.
Listen, those portfolios own 1 out of every 7 homes in America. Do that math.
That's a
One
lot.
of every 7 homes is owned by one of the corporations.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of houses. And they just want to make it a rental community. Own nothing and enjoy it. That's
Yeah.
their attitude.
Yeah.
Own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I understand. I mean, for me, in all honesty, I think I've owned 3 times already. Currently, I'm renting because of the simple fact of where we live. It just makes sense. But I was telling my wife and explaining to her that we have to get in. We have to. Because of the simple fact that, like how you said, eventually it's just going to go up. These corporations are going to sit there and they're going to price everybody out almost in a sense. And then you're going to be stuck, more than anything else. All right, let's get into it. It's obvious. Let them know what you really, really want to talk about.
Believe it or not, everyone now, it's like Johnny come lately is like, so what's going on with Bitcoin? My gosh, I hear all this stuff about Bitcoin. And I go, I've been talking about it for 5 years. Believe it or not, I was actually in it in 2013 and 14 with Nick.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I'm still mad that I sold.
Right.
I had Bitcoin at what, $3,500? And I saw it crash back down to 12. But I was in there, Litecoin, Bitcoin. I know you were involved too because Nick told me back in the day he was talking to you.
I get tired of telling this story because the times were different, right?
Yeah.
It was really, really different, Jerry, because at that time, Bitcoin for us was not something we thought about holding. We thought about Bitcoin changing it and turning it into cash. Flipping it real quick.
Yeah.
It went up, whatever. I never forget, and I quote, I literally had 77 Bitcoins at one time held. And you know what? You just traded it out for cash at the time. So in all actuality, I should just be chilling right now. I shouldn't even. But I understand. I was firm believer in it. I knew from the beginning that it was going to be something. I just didn't hold it.
Yeah.
I literally just got it and got rid of it more than anything else.
I got to tell you a story. First of all, Here's a Bitcoin and an XRP token. Gift to you.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
So listen.
This is the Bitcoin token,
Yeah.
and this is the XRP Army token for all the members out there. There you go. Thank you.
So listen to this story. So it's 1999, and you know the episodes with Seinfeld and George.
Of course.
I had a buddy. His name was Mike, and we would go have breakfast all the time at our diner, right? And one morning, it's 2099, and we sitting down. He says, "Listen, I need 30 grand." I go, "What?" This is before we kind of made it. It's like that's a lot of money. Back then that was everything. And I'm like, "What do you want $30,000 for?" He goes, "Listen, I want to buy .com names."
Okay.
He shows me a list of 1,000 names.
Mm-hmm.
HomeDepot.com, Lowe's.com. I mean, every 5-star name you can imagine.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you, crazy? That's not worth anything. At that moment, the .com happened. And we sit back now, you know, HomeDepot.com is worth $17 million. You know,
Dude, I looked it up the other day. Respect.com is $3.6 million.
Yes. So it was real estate, but we didn't know that. Like you didn't know Bitcoin. Okay. Why I tell you the story is because every generation
Has something like that.
gets a moment in time when they know they can make it big. Okay, so the .com was that time that if you were early, you made a fortune.
Right.
Literally, you made a fortune.
Right.
And then if you were also smart, then you had 2007, 8. If you had some cash and silent, you could have made a fortune.
Right.
Okay, now we're in 2024. We're now, right now, and guess what that opportunity is? Cryptocurrency.
I believe it.
I firmly believe now, because Pandora's box is open. The minute that BlackRock, remember who BlackRock is?
No, of course.
They handle $11 trillion.
Mr. Fink.
Mr. Fink.
I know who he is.
He might be the devil we know, but it's better than the devil we don't know.
No, of course.
So when you I don't listen to what they say anymore. I watch what they do.
Right, of course.
Then you have, who's the Citibank's, gosh, what is his name?
No, not Citibank. It's Chase.
Chase.
Yeah, Dixon. Jamie.
Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon.
Diamond or Dixon?
Jamie Dimon.
Okay.
So Jamie Dimon keeps going on air saying it's a scam. Only people that sell drugs use it. But in September of 2022, they load up about $500 million worth.
Yeah, because they can. They have the
Yes.
money to do that. They have the resources.
They're telling their brokers, if you sell Bitcoin, you're fired. But then quietly they're buying it. So don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do.
No, because they can't be a financial institution that's not involved in one of the quote-unquote gold of the financial industry.
This is going to be the 12th sector of the S&P 500.
So now you're adamant on XRP.
Yeah, and it's the one that's not moving anymore. Because don't forget, they were being sued for 2 years by the SEC.
They're being held up.
Yep, they're being held up
But
because...
they're being held up, in your opinion, for a reason.
Oh yeah, they are the banker's coin. And if anybody understands finances and fiat currency, which is the dollar, SWIFT is how you move money.
Right.
Well, in the digital realm, you need something that's going to move the money. SWIFT, XRP is going to be the cross-border payment mechanism.
Yeah, it's going to be,
So,
basically it's going to
yeah,
replace SWIFT.
I really believe that they suppressed it with the lawsuit. They suppressed them,
Yeah.
saying we got to
Slow
hold
them
this
down.
back, hold them
Yeah,
down.
yeah, slow them down.
Because if you look at, there's over 130 countries that are using XRP for their cross-border payments. It's just a matter of time. I'm thinking within a year or two, it's going to flip the switch.
So now explain, because you told me this off camera and I want to get it on camera. You, going forward, are not interested in real estate.
Listen,
To an extent.
To an extent. So we have properties. I do believe that everyone should have passive income. That's really what you need. You want to retire. You want to be able to control your life. You need passive income. Okay. Remember, Bitcoin, XRP. None of them are passive incomes. They're a store of value.
Right.
It's like buying gold, stick it in your safe, knowing that gold should be $40,000 an ounce right now, based upon the $34 trillion. But it's suppressed because it's not a finite instrument. It can be mined.
Right.
The more you mine, the more it goes up, okay?
Right.
So remember this, Bitcoin can only have 21 million coins.
Eventually it's gonna end.
Yeah, we're at 19.1. So the year 2131 is the last coin ever being minted or being mined.
Yeah, mined.
So we're now in an arena where it's like it cannot be manipulated, it can't be shut down, it cannot be corrupted, it can't be controlled.
Right.
Now, granted, the other tokens, Ethereum, XRP, they all have men behind it.
Right, of course.
That are they're making more coins or changing the algorithms. But those are utility coins.
They feed off of that,
yes, Bitcoin is gold. It is a store of value. I call it digital Manhattan. That's what I'm thinking. Bitcoin is digital Manhattan. That's
So
why.
I have a funny story about it because I didn't understand. I was so naive to it when I first was introduced to it, and I literally just listened to a geek. I listened to a nerd. I listened to a smart kid, and he was like, "Trust me, this is gonna go up. This, that." Now, mind you,
How old was he?
he was 21 at the time. He just graduated UCF. Shout out to the Knights. He literally was just like, "Yo, I promise you, this is the future. This is the future." And I don't know what it was, and I was just like, "You're right." I don't know. Like, even trying to explain it to people to get them to understand was like speaking a foreign language. You know, trying to get them, and you tell people about it, or you tell people about different coins or whatever it may be, and they just couldn't grasp it. And even honestly, to admit, I didn't have a full understanding of it. I knew some, but not completely. You know, and sure enough, he's retired. He's retired.
I'm
like,
sure.
Yeah, he's retired. Like,
I'm sure.
because he was, you know, he was in a position to where he was smart enough to know I use it for different things, and I also I hold it and I store it, and he's gold. He's golden.
Why I shared with you about, and I'm not completely off real estate because real estate's an amazing tool for taxes, and when
It's your bread and butter.
Yeah, when you buy a property, for example, for one of our properties, bought it in 2019. It was a distressed property, 8 units, and we said, let's take the property. I had a vision to put in a pool, make it a resort, turn it into full Airbnb. I spent a year and a half permitting. It was impossible to get the pool, got the pool. Then we got the zoning, and we got them all redone and gutted, and now it's 5 Airbnbs and 3 long-term renters.
Okay.
So what happens with that product is, okay, now it's generating revenue. Okay, properties more than 4 units is considered commercial.
Right.
They don't base it on like an appraisal.
Right.
They base it upon generating revenue, like a business.
Right.
So now you do is you buy it for X amount of dollars, you get a reappraise, and you pull the equity out of the house or out of the property. So every bit of equity you pulled out, instead of me flipping it, because I could have bought it for $1 million, sell it for $3 million. Okay, there's a $2 million profit. Now you're paying tax on $2 million.
On capital gains.
What's the better way to do it? Pull 1.3 out, no tax because it's a loan. Back then the interest rates are nothing.
Right.
So you got 4% interest rate, and guess what? 3 of the units are paying that loan, and the other 4 units are making passive income.
Right.
That's a business. That's a sustainable business that has passive income, taxes, 27-year depreciation. There's 4 levels of income coming in from that.
Right.
And then don't forget the appreciation.
So listen, for you guys, this is free of charge, but eventually on the next episode, it's going to be $12.99 for all this information, to be honest with you. Because Jerry's over here giving you just straight knowledge for nothing, to be quite honest with you.
I'm telling you, these are cheat codes, and it took me 15 years to figure this out, and I read a lot of books, and this is all I do now, is research how to not pay taxes, meaning legally.
Legally, yeah.
And what is it?
Because everybody else is doing it in a sense.
Well, I just figured out, you know what? I'm not going to listen to the people. I'm going to watch what the very wealthy do. And I found out whether you put your money in trusts. One episode, I'd love to talk to you about insurance, being your own bank. That's going to be, dude, that's a 2-hour call.
I literally I've done a little bit of research on that where you become like you have a trust,
Yep,
and then
and I'm
all
a
of the
bank.
companies are underneath that. Well, we'll leave that for another episode. But yeah,
you're going to love that one.
I've dabbled
I'm
in
my
a
own
little-
bank now.
Yeah,
I don't go to the bank anymore.
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it earns 6% compounding, and I borrow it for.
Genius.
And I don't ever have to pay it back because the death benefit pays it.
Yeah, of course.
Listen, the Rockefellers designed it, and I said, you know what? If
You
they're
run with
doing
it too.
I said, so there's all these vehicles that it took time. It took over we started this process in 2014. I'm now 10 years in to this journey of creating the pinwheel of a diversified asset group. So I'm now in that last part. What I want to put in is crypto. Got the real estate, got the insurance, all those little things are there. What's the last piece is not crypto. Because I believe in 1999, when we knew that the dot-coms were going to take off,
You missed it.
don't forget, 3 years earlier, when the computers were coming out, people were using a computer.
Yeah, of course.
But we didn't know that the internet would be what it is
What
today.
did it say? No, of course not.
I mean, we didn't know. Okay, it was great for what?
The nerd knew. The
But
nerd knew.
What would they do in '99? There was what do they call it? Surfing the web and seeing cat videos. Now the
dial-up and
commerce is
stuff.
out of control.
Right.
So think of this. Right now we're in the cryptocurrency age with AI. We're in '99, meaning we don't know the application yet.
No.
What's going to happen in 3 to 5 years?
Ridiculous.
Okay,
It'd
so
be
this
nuts.
is the time to do it. So people go, it's time to buy. Tell your kids to buy real estate. No. don't buy real estate if you, right now it's overpriced for the ROI.
Return on investment.
Yeah. So
See, ROI, we got to tell you what it
Yes.
is because some people don't know.
return on investment. So I tell kids, if you do want to buy a house, go buy a triplex. Live in one side. Let the other two pay your mortgage.
Right.
That's it. And then guess what? After a year, because you can buy with FHA loan with only
course,
5% down. Yeah.
first-time home buyer.
Yes, first-time home buyer. And then with
Oh, you know what I just found out today? Before
Yeah.
a first-time home buyer, I think, can become a first-time home buyer again after a certain amount of years. I didn't know that.
I don't know that. I don't.
I didn't know that.
But I know in FHA you can put 3 to 5%
Right,
down.
right. That I do know.
So I'm telling kids, listen, buy a they're like, oh, what's a crap? Who cares? Just get in there, live in there for a year, sacrifice, eat ramen noodles for a year. And after a year, you move out, and guess what? Now you have 3 units paying for itself.
Yeah,
but you could do this with no money down. You could really do this where it's hard. They're hard to find, because in South Florida it's hard. There's other areas in the country that's really easy. But down here, it's gems. You got to find those gems. It takes time. But if you want something right now, if I knew a 20-year-old right now, I would say cost average. But every week you have extra cash, just buy Bitcoin.
There's a
buy
couple.
Bitcoin.
There's a couple in the crowd. I hope they're listening to what we're saying, because there's a couple of them in the crowd that need to pay attention to what you're dropping, because you're dropping jewels.
Yeah.
EJ, how are we looking on time? We're all good? We're okay? I just wanted to make sure.
No, it's okay. But I think young kids right now, there's going to be more millionaires made in the next 2 years than in the history of America. You thought the last bull run was making millionaires? Right now. You'll see kids buying all these AI coins and whatnot, and they're going to make a fortune.
You're going to make a lot of money doing hardly any work.
Listen, Bitcoin's sitting at 68, 70 right now.
It's fluctuating.
Okay. It's going to be, by the end of the year, by the end of 2025, my projection, $250,000. That's my projection.
Jerry, I was doing transactions when Bitcoin was like 12 bucks. Like it was the 77 coins that I had, I cashed out at like 700 a piece. Like it's stupid. It's just so nutty.
Well, think of it in 1972. My parents came here in 72.
Okay.
They were looking in Fort Lauderdale and had an opportunity to buy waterfront property right off of Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas area. Point lot was $26,000. Okay, in 72, a point lot on the water is $26,000.
I mean, back then it's a lot of money still,
okay,
though.
But today is $28 million. Okay, that's you $700 for the coin, and now what is it?
Yeah, 70,000.
But this is where we are. That's why I call it digital property. It's digital
real
Manhattan.
estate.
They're never going to make any more Bitcoins. You wrap your head around that.
No, I know it.
You
trust
know
me.
it. I'm
I know
telling
it.
the crowd
Yeah, you're
out
telling
there,
them.
where people it's the minute the SEC gave the approval for BlackRock to have their own Bitcoin mutual fund,
Right.
Pandora's box is
It's
open.
open.
Because once they got it, 7 other biggest banks all have it. There's
Yeah.
7. You can right now
Monkey,
go on.
monkey see, monkey do.
Believe it or not, I texted my mother-in-law this morning, and I said, "Listen to me. Go into your Fidelity," and I gave her the QSIP for the Bitcoin ETF. I said, "I want you to move your money into the Bitcoin ETF, all of it, all of it."
Whew.
Here's why. Right now, it's doing nothing. It's stagnant.
No, of course.
Doing nothing. I don't care if it doesn't do anything for next. It'll do something great for next year and a half, and we might have that. You know how every 4 years it cycles.
Up, down, up, down.
You're not going to time the market. I tell people, unless you're sitting at your computer, you can try to time it, but I'm doing it for the long haul. I'm doing it for 5, 10, 15 years. I want to go through 3 cycles, which is going to be almost 12 years.
Right.
By that time, we could be seeing Kathy Wood. She is one of the best, at this. She has her own fund. She's projecting Bitcoin to be 1.5 million by 2030. It's only
Now,
6 years from now.
Just a disclaimer, we are not promoting
advisors,
for
yeah.
everybody to put all of their life savings into
Yes.
Bitcoin.
Do what you can afford to lose.
Thank you. Okay.
That's what I tell
That's
people.
all we're doing.
Do what
That's
you can
it.
afford to lose. Don't go mortgage your house, take all your money. But no, it's not what I'm promoting here. Like I said, is when you have a wheel of assets, when you're now in the phase of, okay, this is where I'm going to invest my money. You got to, listen, pay your taxes and tithe. That's what I tell everybody. Do those 2 things before you do anything.
Yeah.
Okay? Get out of debt
As quickly as you can.
and then start investing.
Of course.
But if you're in debt with credit cards, 28%, there's no point in investing something at 12%.
Nah.
It's because that's going to kill you.
Yeah, it's going to destroy you.
No, knock that out, then start investing.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, and EJ, right after I finish this, then you could just re-hit it and we'll start all over. But a buddy of mine the other day had mentioned it to me that he had gotten into some credit card debt. He was pretty bad shape. and he asked me for advice, and he said, what should I do? And he was like, well, I'm thinking about transferring it and then getting it instead of a 28% card to a 22% card. I'm like, dude, do you have the money to pay it off? He's like, yeah, I have it. Then pay it off. What are you going to do? You're going to transfer it from one to another one that's 7% lower, and you're still going to owe the amount of money.
Unless
That
you're
makes
getting
no
a 3 or
sense.
4% interest rate, that's free money. Otherwise, pay it off.
Yeah, pay it off.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. You can start.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the crypto. So I really believe Bitcoin should surpass gold over the next year.
Yeah.
Now, everybody knows who Michael Saylor is. He's, MicroStrategies. He bet the farm 5 years ago, and now their company is worth billions.
Right.
They
That's a heavy risk,
They invested $600 million.
That's a heavy risk.
And the company's worth about $7-8 billion on the books.
Of course.
Okay, and it wasn't risk because, don't forget, this is an MIT guy. This is a guy, MicroStrategies is an
He's
amazing
a
company.
nerd. I say. He's not
Yeah.
saying it. I'm saying
He's a total
nerd.
And so for me, listen, if I build a house, I'm going to go to people I know that have done this. Like when I first started, I had mentors, that they really took me through the ropes. And now I mentor other guys in that field because I am an expert at that field now.
Because that's the way it was received for you, and that's the way you want to give it out.
Of course. Listen, it takes 10,000 hours to become a professional or an expert at something. 10,000 hours. Now, granted, you could do 10,000 hours in about 6 years if you bust your ass.
Right.
I'm building 15 years.
Right.
I've done 20,000 hours in that time. So when it comes to building, people go, how do you estimate it? How do you know the yards of concrete? When you do it so long, because you look at something and go,
It becomes natural.
Yes.
It becomes natural.
Yes.
It's like literally just like waking up in the morning. You already know.
And I want to get that knowledge
With this.
with this. And it's not like it's rocket science. It's really just understanding the principles of what it is.
Right.
I
think that's where there's a little bit of quote unquote skepticism with it, because people try to figure it out, because it is a volatile, currency. It's really, sometimes it's high as hell and everybody's praising it, and sometimes it's low and people are making fun of it. But in all actuality, at the end of the day, I think just like anything else, isn't that just the way life is normally? Sometimes with your significant other, you have highs, you have lows. But in the overall aspect of it, you're like, we're winning, we're winning. That's the overall goal. The overall goal is to win. So for me, I agree with you 100%. Bitcoin is the future.
Well, you said highs and lows. It's great to have them in marriage. If your highs are higher and your lows are higher, you understand that?
Yeah, of course.
Your lows don't get lower than the last low.
No, of course not.
And it's crazy. They put the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 up against the Bitcoin for the last 13 years.
Oh, killed me.
It actually was better, even though it had its dips, because the lows were always higher and the highs were always higher. And it's a natural cycle every 4 years. So people go, oh, it's so volatile. No. It has cycles. If you understand the cycles, you don't stress out.
Right. I said that to the same person. He was like, how do you handle such and such or whatever? And I compared it to, being married. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, what is the overall goal? Even if you're doing investing, even if you're having a great life with your wife or whatever, what's the overall goal? To be happy, to be successful, whatever this and that. I said, are you going to allow some lows, which would be, let's say, for example, 365 days, so 1 year in total.
Yeah.
1 year, not of direct lows, but just added up throughout the whole relationship. Are you going to let that blow your relationship over 50, 60 years of happiness?
Never.
You take those numbers all day long.
Yeah.
So that's the same advice I gave him. Whether it's investing, whether it's being with someone, relationships, or whatever it may be, you have to take the bad and the good. You have to do both. You can't just cry when it's bad, because you're not claiming that, oh, it's too good. It's too good, right? We're making too much money, or we're having too much fun. No, you don't say that. So when it's bad, just you take your lumps and you keep it moving.
We talked about this, and I said, you show me a disciplined person, I'll show you a successful person.
Yeah.
My mantra, and I tell this to my players or my employees, and I say, listen, I know a lot of people that are capable.
Right.
A lot of people are capable, but not many are willing.
Right.
So show me the willing person, I'll show you a successful person.
Yeah. I teach that to my kids, especially to EJ more than anything else. He's of the younger variety. He's only 15 years old, for those that don't know, and he'll constantly come up to me and be like, but Dad, how do you do this? Dad, how do you do that? And my famous phrase to him is, what would you do if I wasn't here? Figure it out. Like, especially in today's world, you have YouTube University. You can figure out anything on there. Like how you shouted out CapCut on the last episode. Once again, shout out to them. Like, just all you gotta do is just look it up and do it yourself. And then you come to me and look what I did, and it's like, oh, you learned something. There you go. You see, I didn't have to show you. We could go, do something else instead. So
I love failure. People go, what? You're a narcissistic, crazy person. You love failure. I go, let me tell you something. My biggest growth comes out of failure.
Of course.
I mean, failure is going to teach you how to succeed.
Right.
And again, an ADD person like myself, that failure just drives you to figure it out. You figure it out.
I forgot the name of the movie. We just watched it the other day. It was with Cumberbatch, and he's playing Thomas Edison. I forgot the name of it. And
Netflix?
No, I forgot where it was at. Me and my wife were watching. Anyway, make a long story short, she pulled that out, that he literally invented the light bulb, but he failed almost 1,999 times to get it right one time. And that getting it right one time made him one of the most successful individuals of mankind. So that's the way you got to look at it. Like, you could be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You learn from your wrongs. But the one time you get it right and you hit that home run, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
It's what you do in the darkness that gets the applause in the light.
Yeah.
And that's all I share with Nick. It's like what you do in the lab in the dark gets applause in the light. No one knows what goes on in the darkness.
No.
I said, listen, although I've been in business since I was 23 years old. I got 30 years in business, and out of the 30 years in business, I'm standing on about 3 successful things we do now, but I've probably done 25 or 30.
No, of course.
And I'm a distant failures.
Yeah, of course. You have 22 other failures, and you have 3 things that are actually working out.
No one sees that. No one understands the grind. No one understands, the phone calls at night. No one understands missing functions or missing Christmas because we had to do a Popeyes on Christmas to get them open. No one understands that, but it takes a certain individual at home.
I'm on this wave right now where I spend time with individuals that I feel like I'm going to learn from or value my time. And the reason why I'll explain it is because I have a ton of clients, to give you an example. And it's like sometimes I try to explain to them, look, if I come to your event or I show love or whatever it may be, baseball game, birthday party, baby shower, wedding, birthday, whatever it may be, and I'm there for only an hour and a half tops, please don't see it as disrespectful. Because in all actuality, based on everything that I'm trying to do and the involvements and the things that I want to do and how I want to be successful with my family and everything, if I'm giving you that much time, please know that it's extremely important. Please. It's not a slight. It's not disrespect. I'm leaving the event early. No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm just so structured in the things that I do on a timely basis and getting as much as I can out of 24 hours in a day, that's the only time that I can allot for you, honestly. And it's not a slap in the face, please.
No, it's not.
I'm giving you the best thing that I can give you because I can always make more money or, whatever it may be, but I can't get back my time.
Listen, being an entrepreneur, it's a lonely life sometimes. It really is.
Sometimes? Yeah. Almost all the time.
Yeah.
Almost all the time.
Listen, I got an amazing marriage, so I spend a lot of time with my wife. I got great kids. I love to spend. So there's not a whole lot of time between all the business and then, let's hopefully golf. Or it's almost like once every 3 months I can golf because it's like I don't have that extra time.
It's funny that you bring that up because I had just mentioned it to my wife the day before yesterday. And I let her know because eventually your kids are almost gone. Yeah. My kids are going to be gone one day too. And I told her.
My kids are gone.
No. Well, yeah, they're gone. But and I told her, I was like, listen, I said, it's just going to be you and I. So how did you get used to it being just you and Amber? Give me some pointers, dude, so I got to look forward to.
Pointers. Date night every week.
Every week?
Every week. We didn't miss a date night for 28 years.
That's tough.
Okay.
I like doing a lot of nothing sometimes.
Listen, you just said the word, it's tough.
Yeah.
It just takes discipline.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you words of advice. Okay, listen, so if you miss, and then the other thing is every 3 months, go away for the night.
Okay. That we won't have a problem with. I think the date night part, because it's funny that you say that, because the date night part every week, my wife is the type that she'll be like, babe, do we have to really go? And I'll be like, no. She'll be like, good. Okay, let's stay home. Like, she loves being home because if you really think about it, at the end of the day, what is the first thing that you do once you're finished for the day, you're done? You want to go home. But why you want to go home? It's because you spend all of your time, resource, money, love, affection, everything is there. There's nothing like home. Nothing.
I believe that.
There's nothing like home.
I believe that. But what it does when you have that date night, it conditions yourself to always date her. When I say that, it conditions you to date your wife.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I court my wife every day.
You understand? So it's for some reason, it's like It's that night. What are we going to do tonight? It's just out of your. It's all it is being out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Granted, let me say, in 28 years, has there been weeks we missed it? Yes.
Of course.
But then guess what? We're empty nester. You 2 days. So
you make up for it.
Yeah. So when I said before they left the house, we never missed that.
Right.
Because now we can have dinner every night if we want to.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. We're in a different.
Like how you
different
said
place in our
last
life
episode,
now.
before you were getting phone calls and you were worried about Nick. Now you're getting phone calls and they're phone calls that you want to get.
Yeah.
No, I understand totally.
So that's my advice.
I appreciate the Bitcoin and the XRP coin. Thank you for thinking of me. Please bring me the book so I don't have to buy it.
No.
Actuality.
I'm going to order you the book.
And it's funny because my buddy who does the show with me, Jake, saw the episode and said that if you read that book is really good because he's read it as well. So he's like, listen, I'll listen.
He did?
Yes. He's like, I'll listen to what Jerry has to say. Jerry sounds like a very motivational type guy that knows what he's doing and knows what he's talking about. Because he read that book, I read that book, and it was really good. So I'm going to end up reading the book. Because I asked him yesterday, I saw him yesterday after I landed, and I'm like, do they have an audio version? Can I do an audio version? I was
no, I'm so ADD. I buy the hardcover, and I have the audio. You know what I do?
What?
I sit down, and I'm listening as I'm reading, and I'm underlining. I'm highlighting.
Oh, really?
I got 3 things going on at one time because I'm so like, I'll read 3 pages. I'm like, what the hell? Where the hell did it go? 3 pages went by. I'm like, I didn't know what I read, even though I read it because my brain just goes off.
Right.
So when I'm listening to it and I'm following the words, I'm underlining as I'm. So for me, that's the only way I can do it.
That's the only way you can do it?
Every book I buy hard copy, and I buy the Audible.
I might try it that way. Then.
It's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah. And then you know what you can do too is after you finish a chapter, I'll put it on the car and listen to it and hear it again. Oh, I remember that part. But there's one last thing about, this journey, like you said, about self-exploring, self-getting, what do you call it? Just getting better,
Yeah, of course.
Bettering yourself.
Embetterment, yeah.
So, I think when I hit 50, I think it's been about 3 years now that went in this journey of health, my mind, my body. Always had my spirit right. That was always that thing. But then being busy, you don't take time on your
For
body.
yourself, yeah.
Being busy, you don't take time with self-growth or reading books. And I really figured out, I'm like, I wish I would have done it earlier.
Right.
For 3 years, I just been just eating as much as I can. And believe it or not, I can't believe what a difference is versus just doing it, but actually not repeating mistakes because you're finding out how they're doing it.
Right, of course.
It's like, oh my God, I wish I would have read the directions a long time ago.
Absolutely.
Because I was the kind of guy, I don't need directions. Legos, just put it together.
Yeah, figure it out.
I'll figure it out. But there's guys that are doing this. That's why I'm like, oh God.
There's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So,
and you kind of like take the best parts out of it too, because let's be honest, not everything they say works for every scenario.
No, of course not.
Yeah, because your scenario might be different than the
Yeah.
person that's mentoring you or whatever it may be. So you basically just kind of like take the best parts out of it, see what works for you, and then you keep it moving.
One other great book that Amber's reading right now that I read last year or 2 years ago, made the kids read, it's called Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
You want to talk about changing your life? It just talks about how it takes 30 days to create a habit and how you stack them. And now you create barriers not to make the same mistake. It's amazing.
It doesn't take Apple 30 days to create a habit because I was on a flight back from coming to see in Asia, and I kid you not, and I saw a lady, she had Apple headphones, she had an Apple Watch, she had an Apple phone, she had a MacBook, she had an iPad, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, damn, they really have this like addicts.
Monopoly.
Yes.
You know they're being sued right now, right?
Yeah, of course. What aren't they being sued
They're
for?
being sued for monopoly right now.
It's ridiculous.
Like what they did to Microsoft 20
what
years
was
ago.
done way back in the days to John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah, they don't
with
like the
Standard
fact
Oil.
that they have the best product.
It's ridiculous, dude.
It is that good.
It's insane.
It is.
No, I'm not.
Did you see the movie Blackberry?
Yeah, of course. That's my... Dude, that is my favorite movie.
I watched that 3 times.
I ordered 2 Blackberries after to see if I could hook them up.
Dude, it's crazy though. How they sat on their high horse thinking they had the best thing since sliced bread, and they literally got the rug pulled out from underneath them.
They got the rug pulled out from them because the way they were thinking, they weren't thinking the way you're thinking about Bitcoin. They were thinking stagnant. They were thinking, oh, this is what works. This is proven. This is this. This is. They weren't thinking for. In my opinion, in all actuality, if they would have just created the screen to be touched and still have the keyboard earlier, they'd still be in the game.
They waited.
They waited too long.
Remember they couldn't get the click and all that?
Because if you think about it, WhatsApp is literally BBM,
Yeah.
and WhatsApp sold to Zuckerberg for $4 billion.
Did it really?
BBM was way before that. So I could go all day talking about BlackBerry, trust me.
But it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And it just shows you leadership. It's like at the end of the day, the guy wasn't concerned about the BlackBerries. He was concerned about buying the teams. Remember?
Oh, yeah. He thought he was a vampire
like,
of, what was it? Vampire. I forgot where he was from. I forgot the name of it. He was going nuts.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. It was a great movie. I loved it. EJ, in Asia, my wife thought I was nuts because I went out and bought 2 BlackBerries to try to hook them up right after I saw the movie. I kid you not. Am I lying, EJ? I did, right? I bought 2 BlackBerries. They're still in the house. I just asked them about it today.
It's a great movie to watch about how companies fail.
Yeah.
If they don't stay on top of their game and they don't think ahead, that's why this whole thing with you got to be 10 years ahead. You got to be thinking about 10 years.
Well, Jerry, thank you. That's another episode that we're going to conclude. Guys, make sure you click like, subscribe on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. KD Power Greens for all of your microgreens. No strings attached for your pickleball merch. And InasiaCologne.com for all of your EC Respect merch. We'll check you guys out next episode.